Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Blockchain and Beyond. As always, I'm your host Farzan. On today's episode, I'm joined by another guest. He is the CEO and the founder of the Wayru network, and his name is Charvel. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Farzan, for the invitation. We're super glad to be here talking about our project. My name is Charvel. I'm CEO and founder at Wayru Network. Wayru is a decentralized internet network built, operated, and owned by the people. Our goal is to build tools to empower people to deploy their own internet networks and not having to rely on big telcos or governments to provide connectivity, especially in these areas that for decades governments and telcos have left people in the dark because they don't see it as profitable. And we believe that with a sharing economy, we can connect everybody in the world to the internet.
Yeah, no, I think that kind of raises a really good point. You guys mentioned that internet access is almost a human right at this point. Everyone needs access to the internet, and even living in London, you are often in places where it's difficult to get access to Wi-Fi. Of course, you have your mobile data, but for some people, Wi-Fi is not accessible. Especially for people of the older generation who are not familiar with the internet, how it works. Those people are often left in the dark, and it can be difficult for them to understand how this technology works for them. I guess I would like to start off by discussing a bit about why you guys have chosen Algorand as your platform of choice.
Yeah, sure. So this is a great question that we usually get, and we chose Algorand. When we started this a little bit over a year ago, we weren't sure on what chain we should use, but we chose Algorand because of the instant finality. There's no forking on Algorand, and we do need to work with off-chain devices because we are building an real-life internet network for people to access. So we needed a way to get all the information on the chain as soon as possible with no forking, extremely low gas fees because this is something that is going to be used in a daily basis. Every user, every time they connect, they will interact with Algorand's blockchain behind the scenes. They won't even know it. This is what we call mainstream adoption, when people use something without even knowing what they're using or how it works. And the speed of the transactions, because of course when you connect to the internet you expect to have instant connection and not having to wait 3 4 5 minutes until the transaction is complete. So that is why we chose Algorand. And of course, well, one of the main reasons is because it is a carbon negative blockchain. So we are very into green blockchains. We looked into a couple of them, but we chose Algorand because it's not just the greenest of blockchains right now. It's carbon negative plus all the other benefits that we were looking on the blockchain. Then we started talking to the foundations from different chains, and well, we decided on Algorand. We then applied to an accelerator on Algorand. We were selected on the Algorand Miami accelerator. We met great people from the ecosystem, investors, users, supporters, NFT creators, and well, we also love the community. So once we started building an Algorand, we realized that we made the right choice to base what we're building on Algorand to start.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. So I guess it mostly boils down to one, Algorand being carbon negative, but then two, the technology, so the speed and the cost of the transactions, which is again a common theme I'm seeing from everyone who is building on Algorand is everyone comes and stays for the exact same reasons. So it's good to see, that everyone kind of has the same vision with Algorand. Everyone sees, the same greatness, or the same benefits in using Algorand. And yeah, the Algorand community is awesome. People are, super willing to help, even people from the foundation. You can reach out and they will support you the best they can. So yeah, no, that sounds really awesome. So diving a bit more into the project. So you describe yourself as a decentralized internet network. So for people who may be unfamiliar with that, what does that mean, or what does that entail?
Yeah, so it's important to understand how the internet works. So when we think about the internet, we only think about we get information on a screen and we send messages and receive videos and whatnot. But the way it works behind the scenes is that there's a bunch of servers allocated in specific places around the world, and then you need to get connected to those servers to access that information that you usually receive and send over WhatsApp or whatever platform you're using. And in order for you to get that, it's a very centralized operation because one operator in a country owns the fiber that comes into the country, owns all the fiber that or the radios that are deployed around each specific areas, and they decide where they think it is feasible for their business for them to deploy networks. 10 years ago, the United Nations declared internet access a human right. And today, in 2022, there are about 3 billion people in the planet that don't have reliable connectivity. And this is due to this centralized scheme or centralized way of providing connectivity. What we are trying to do and what we did when we started, we drafted how an ISP worked from end to end, and then started we separated all the operations that entails the complete overall operation of an ISP, and started trying out new ways of how this could be done without one party taking charge of everything. So we started, and of course, how many parties can benefit from what these networks are providing. So right now, if I connect to a network that is operated by one provider, this one provider gets all the benefits as well, and they have to manage everything. And managing everything means high capex and high opex, which makes it very difficult for small startups to become operators. That's why you only see large operators and the small operators that you see around the world in emerging countries, like in countries in South America, for example, in Ecuador, where I am right now. These cannot compete against the big providers because it's still a centralized way that they are providing connectivity, and this requires a lot of money upfront to build these networks because they have to deploy a network and then they have to try and go and sell that access to somebody. Whereas in a decentralized way, what we do is we grow based on demand. So whenever a community needs access to a network, they will tap in Wayru's protocols, and they can deploy internet networks in specific community, and they will use that community and expand that community when more people are using that community, and they will get they will be rewarded in Wayru tokens for doing so. So what we are building is we are building a sharing economy where our token lies at its core, and the token is used to reward everybody for their participation. So node operators for expanding coverage and providing connectivity to people, stakers for supporting and backing these live nodes so that they can become active and start earning rewards, so they split rewards. And then, of course, the users for continuously using our network and referring our network to more people. So that is how we are planning to decentralize. This is not an easy task. This is a long-term project. This is very hard to do. This is not solely a DeFi platform that works on top of a chain. This actually has other things involved, like legal issues if you want to actually become an operator in a specific country. This involves deployment and maintenance of devices in specific areas. So it is very hard to have this done, but we think that creating this sharing economy, uh, incentivizing people around the world to deploy this network so we can expand coverage and connect more people to the network, can be the key to closing the digital gap, which we still have today. So it's a very hard task, but we truly believe that this is possible, and this is possible thanks to blockchain technologies, because in the past there's been other companies that have tried to decentralize. Like there's this company in Spain called Fun, and they tried to do something similar probably 15 years ago, but devices were too expensive, bandwidth was limited, and of course, the technology of the devices providing the connectivity wasn't there yet. But today, we're in a point in time where connectivity in bulk prices is accessible, so this can be created. People have access to more and more hardware that is available out there to become part of a network such as Wayru network, and of course the speed today of giving bandwidth at home for people around the world is much higher at a lower price than it was 10 years ago. So we believe we're in the perfect moment in time to start building this, and this will probably help solve the digital gap in the next 10 years. The problem is so big that it's not going to be solved just by us, but we encourage and we are happy to see other companies doing similar things or kind of similar things to try to solve a problem in common, because as you can tell, like one or two people alive don't not having connectivity today, that's huge. And we're not looking to be the only company solving this. That will be in a way centralized again, right? So yeah, we are happy to have competition, and we are happy to see other people around the world, other companies trying to solve the same problem.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that. You talked about how ISPs are traditionally very centralized, and that's something that was a part of a lot of my research. Most countries have one or two main ISPs who offer most of their services, and then all of the infrastructure is sublet out to smaller companies, and the cost of building and hosting this infrastructure is in the billions of tens of billions, because it involves digging up roads, laying fiber optic cables, and having services that are persistent and constantly running. And it's as you said, it's not an easy task for anyone, or especially startups where you don't have that sort of scale to actually come in and change the status quo. But what I'm seeing Wayru doing is its benefits can even be seen in developed countries where people still have a lot of internet access, because even within our communities there's people who are unconnected, people who cannot afford internet, and Wayru is potentially a step to helping them get connected as well, which will overall better society at large.
Yeah, of course. This is not something only useful for emerging countries, but also developed nations, as you mentioned. You would be amazed at how the biggest cities in the United States, for example, most of the time have the most people disconnected within that city, because in big cities you see the areas that have wealth, and then automatically right next to that area you see an area with very low income, and this translates in something that it's called internet poverty. Around the world, 1.5 billion people live in internet poverty situations, and this is throughout the whole world. It's not just in emerging countries. So yeah, this could be useful in developed countries as well. And it's very important to understand how going back to the previous question, I didn't mention the three types of nodes that we have to make this decentralized network a reality. So for people that already have internet connection in their homes or in their business, and they want to be part of the network, we have something called micronodes. The micronodes are meant for people that already have a connection and that they want to share or expand that to anybody around them so that they can use that network. And this set node, this micronode, will be rewarded with Wayru tokens. So right now we have something called the Genesis device that is coming out. People will be able to get one of those devices, connect them to their internet router, and create this Wi-Fi network that will be broadcasted by this router. And whoever connects to that network will generate you rewards. And at the same time, you'll be helping somebody get online without having to meet the person, without having to give them the password, without having to worry about security issues, because this device is built to work as a standalone device, so people won't have access to your local network. And then we have two other types of nodes, which are the block nodes and the link nodes. And these are very special because these are put in place so that we can bring connectivity to places where there is no connectivity. So for example, let's say there is a small area or a small community outside a big city that they don't have the best connection, right? So the idea of the link node is that a local provider, it could be us or it could be any local provider that wants to jump in and help out, expand the Wayru coverage, and they will bring a line of fiber, or they will bring connectivity to that area through wireless technologies like radio, point-to-point or point-to-multipoint technologies. So when they bring the line of internet or the capacity, the bandwidth capacity to this area, they become a link node, and they will be rewarded for that bandwidth that they provide to this community. And then within that community, there is something that we call blog nodes. So somebody from that community, it could be a community leader, it can be a startup, it could be a business, it could be somebody from this community. They will build a distribution network within the community, which is basically deploying hotspots around this community so people will have internet access via Wi-Fi, and they will be rewarded for the traffic generated on that set network. So as you can see, we decentralize the way of how somebody brings connection to a community, and they themselves don't have to worry about the CAPEX and the OPEX problem that they will encounter in this community to deploy the network, but the network will be deployed by the same community based on demand. So the more people need it, the more the network grows within that same community, more people are connected to the internet, and all the rewards for participating in this network are shared between the participants in Wayru tokens. So it's very important to have these tokens separated and understand how these work. And all this information is in our white paper, and it's in our website. People can go and read through that, and they'll understand a little bit more in depth on how this works. But it's very important to understand the difference between those two and how we are approaching this problem, because in places that there is no connectivity, there is no reason to have a micronode, because if nobody has connectivity there, then that means the micronode will be worthless there. But at the same time, there are places in big cities that they have a lot of connectivity. You go to Miami, you start looking for Wi-Fi, and you see hundreds and hundreds of networks, but they all have passwords. Nobody can access them. So if some of them had Wayru, a Wayru device connected to their networks, that means you'll go to this specific city and you'll have access to the internet anywhere in that city based on what other people are providing to the network. So this is very exciting for us.
Yeah, no, you answered the question I was gonna ask next, but yeah, about the node types, and that's something which I really like because it lets people of different capacities do what they can, right? So the micronodes, people in their own homes can set up this device. It sits with your internet router. It takes a quick little setup, and then from there, you're providing coverage, you're earning rewards. But people who have more capacity, who want to bring connectivity to a new town or a new village, you have something built in as part of the protocol for people to do that. And then even within that town or village, there's capacity for people to expand with the hotspots. So there's like different stages almost that you can contribute to the network, which is something that's really key, because that's what you see in traditional ISP models as well. There's different tiers of ISPs where each ISP does what they can, and here it's up to the people to decide what can I do myself. Personally, I'll be like, yeah, I can run a micro node, I can do that at my own house. But someone may be like, yeah, they're happy to set up a link node, and then someone else may be working with them to set up the hotspots. And then all of a sudden you have this harmonious relationship of people supporting everyone else with the aims of achieving the same goals.
Yes, 100% true. That is the goal. Having this orchestrated in a way that is a hassle-free operation for anybody that wants to come into the network and help out. And we have these different types of ways that people can help out. Like you can call it tiers. So yeah, that's a good way of explaining it. Just like the regular ISPs work, there are different types of providers in different stages. This is the same thing, only in a decentralized way. What we are building is we are building the tools and the technology so that people can just set up their nodes and start running those nodes without us having to come and participate in that, or having to help them set up those nodes. So this is key for exponential growth, people being able to set up their own nodes without us intervening.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm a bit conscious of time, so I wanted to perhaps talk about your Airblocks NFTs, and what your aim with that is.
Yes, so we already set up the first linked node and block node in Latin America. We set it up in Ecuador in a low income community right outside one of the biggest cities called Guayaquil. This low income community is called Monte Sinai, or Mount Sinai in English. And what we did there, we when we went there, we wanted to bring this technology for these people to deploy their own networks. But we realized that there are some areas that people have so little that they literally cannot build their own network. They literally cannot take advantage of this technology and of this collaborative economy that we're building, this sharing economy that we're building. So the NFTs were put in place so that we as Wayru can go and build a network for them, or help them build a network with all the proceeds that we get from the NFTs. This is a purely altruistic approach. You buy an NFT and this money is used so we can go and help a low-income community set up their own internet network so that they can take charge of that network in the future, and they can start earning from the maintenance of that network and the growth of that network as well. But at the beginning, there is no other way for them to do it. So the NFT sales help us bring together more communities. We are working directly with foundations in Latin America so that we can get in touch with these communities and start deploying networks with the sales that we get from the airdrops. But you don't get a direct benefit from holding an airdrop, like a direct monetary benefit, but you get indirect benefits. Like you get commercial rights. So if you use that and you sell merch using your airdrop, you'll get monetary benefits from that. But that's not directly related from the existence of the NFT, but from you doing something with that NFT. You will get a discount price at our token sale when we go live with our token early next year. And if you have an airdrop now, you will get early access to get a Genesis device to run your own node. So that and a bunch of other benefits that you'll get as an air blocker that are not directly related with what happens with that network that we set up, because the idea is to give. These are NFTs to give. So when you buy one of these NFTs, you get a mad, crazy, fantastic art, because I think they're great. Everybody gets them because they love the art. But at the same time, behind it, the utility is that you are helping somebody else get connected today, because there's no other way that they would have gotten connected in the first place. So yeah, that's what the NFTs are about.
Yeah, no,
And these are the NFTs back here.
Yep.
I already have some merch.
Yeah, no, I think that's it's a unique approach, where it's a completely, charitable cause, or altruistic approach, where you don't get any direct benefits. There's no sort of airdrops from holding the NFTs. It's all just going directly to support these communities. And any other benefits that you decide to give, that will be, as and when it happens. But people know when they buy the NFT, that this is gonna go directly to support people who need it most, to helping them get access to the internet. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, of course, because we have the two options, right? If you want to earn, you can run a hotspot and earn from that. Become a link node or a blog node in the future, and you can earn from that. We also have something called hotspot pools that we're putting together now, and we're going to be releasing that a little bit after we release the Genesis pre-sale, which it's basically we deploy, for example, 1,000 hotspots in a specific area, and that entails a pool, and people can participate from that pool and earn from what that pool is generating as well. But if you want to go on the purely altruistic approach and hold an NFT, that will overall help the ecosystem, because these networks in these places will also be run by Wayru OS, and people will also need to interact with Wayru's protocols to access the network. They will still need the token to access the network. So in a way, it's helping you increase the value of whatever you are actually investing in the protocol to earn by having an NFT. Plus, having an NFT, as you said, will start getting more and more benefits as they become available, in the future. Like you having an NFT might increase the percentage or the yield that you'll get from running a hotspot if you have an NFT. And we're looking at having, I don't know, in the next 10 years, probably 10 million hotspots deployed worldwide, but there's only 10,000 air blocks. So people might not see the real value now, but in a couple of years, those NFTs are going to be way more valuable because they will have a direct benefit if you interact with the protocols of Wayru as an operator at any tier whatsoever. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm a bit wary of time. So for anyone who wants to reach out to you or find out more about Wayru Network, where's the best place to find you guys?
Yeah, so we're mostly active on Twitter. So you can follow us on Twitter. There's a link on Twitter that will direct you to our other socials. And of course, join our Telegram or Discord channels because that is where we have the most communications directly with the Wayru fam, with our community. So that would be the best place. Now, if you want to learn more about Wayru, go to www.wayru.io. Our website. You'll have all the information you need to understand how Wayru works, all the benefits that you can get by joining the Wayru family. And there's links also to our white paper, our token paper, and other more very, very relevant information for anybody who wants to come and join our community.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'll include this information in the description below for anyone who wants to check it out as well. But Charvel, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I've learned a lot more from this conversation with you, more than what I learned reading the white paper. It's been awesome. I think
Of course.
you guys are doing some awesome work. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to sit down and speak with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, Farsan, thank you for the invitation. Thanks for the interest. I know your background is in cybersecurity, and you were very interested about what we were building. So thanks so much for picking our project to have in your podcast, and it's a pleasure for us to be here.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget to join the waiting list. By the way, for the Genesis device,
Yeah.
we have a waiting list open right now. We're having the pre-sale in a couple of weeks, so save your spot.